Cochran, and I have had the privilege of serving as student body president for Dripping Springs High School for the 2023-2024 school year. On behalf of the student body, I would like to welcome you to tonight's State of the District. I've lived in Dripping Springs my entire life, and through the course of my education, I've taken advantage of the innumerable things our school district has to offer. My sophomore year, I got to explore my interest in engineering when I worked with the robotics team in the amazing Fab Lab at the high school. I've also been a part of cheerleading and theater and was amazed at the equipment and facilities that we had access to. Our school district does such a good job at providing ample opportunities for students like me to find our passions and a sense of who we are. After taking many science courses, I've decided to study chemistry in college next year with the ultimate goal of working as a chemist for the FBI. I think my classmates would agree that we are ready to step into the world come graduation, ready at the hands of our teachers and administrators that have prepared us to do so. There's a great presentation prepared for you tonight. Before we turn things over to the superintendent, please stand for the pledges of allegiance and a performance by the district elementary choir. Thank you.
Good evening. Please stand for the pledges of allegiance and our national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Well, welcome to our 2024 State of the District. Before we get started with our presentation, I want to take a moment to thank our student choir for being here. They did a beautiful rendition of What a Wonderful World, and it's so exciting to have had them with us. I also want to thank some of our student leaders who are helping support this presentation. First, we had Presley Cochran, the Dripping Springs High School 2024 Student Body President, who opened up our session. We had our pledge leaders who are members of our middle school lighthouse teams, including Cadell Beasley and Bella Blanchard from Sycamore Springs Middle School, and then that was Christian Caldwell and Bailey Guffey from Dripping Springs Middle School. We also have with us our technical theater student staff who are producing this event for us. They are doing our lights, our sound, and our technical support. We have Elise, Jonas, Milena, and Campbell. And then we have a student photographer here with us tonight, Beatrice. And last but not least, I want to thank the students from our advanced floral design class. They presented with us with this gorgeous floral arrangement and designed that and decorated in here for us today. And so we wanted to say thank you. If y'all could help us give a round of applause to all of these students. Well, I'm very pleased to have you all here for the State of the District. I want to start off this evening with saying thank you to our Board of Trustees who are attending. We have Board President Stephanie Reynolds, who just stepped out with her child who was in the choir. We have Mary Jane Hetrick, Board Vice President, here with us. Olivia Barnard, who was our Board Secretary. We also have Kim Cousins and Shannon O'Connor. And not with us tonight are Rob McClellan and Tricia Quintero. This evening, joining me to present are going to be two of our senior leaders in our district. Elaine Cogburn is our Deputy Superintendent. She's going to be talking about finance and operations for the district. We also have Dr. Karen Kidd, who's our Assistant Superintendent for Learning and Innovation, and she's going to be talking about student success. So I wanted to start off this evening by just talking about Dripping Springs ISD by the numbers. So you can see up here a little bit about our district. We are a fast growth district if you're not familiar with us. In 2019, you can see we had 7,200 students. And this year in 2023, in that gold bar, you can see we have 8,538 students as our official enrollment number. Our district has 8 campuses. Currently, we have 1 high school, 2 middle schools, and 5 elementary campuses. And then our total square mileage is about 198 square miles, similar to Hayes CISD in total land capacity, and a very buildable district, so we anticipate growth into the future. So speaking of growth, I thought it would be interesting to talk about our growth by campus. It's sometimes helpful to look at our enrollment by school as well as by the district level. So up here, you have on this side the campuses, and then we're starting with 2021 through 2023. This is our current year in this last panel. But you can see each elementary school, and then the elementary total enrollment, each middle school total enrollment, and then our high school enrollment. So my first year here, I came in 2021. Coming off of 2020, we did not have a lot of growth that year. We were pretty stagnant, but we grew by about 700 students. In 2022, my second year here, we grew by almost 400 students, and this year we grew by almost 200 students. So our growth has slowed just a little bit, but we are still a fast growth district. Fast growth districts are about 200 students or more, so we are still growing at a fast rate, and typically they look at your growth over a 5-year period, and within our last 5 years, we've still had very high growth rates. A lot of times we get asked if that growth will continue, and I feel like this chart sometimes helps to explain our growth. When you're looking at this chart, what you're looking at in blue is our elementary student enrollment. Red is middle school and green is high school. You can see they all follow that same trajectory. So looking 15 years back, in 2009, this was our enrollment as a district. You can see where our enrollment is this year and that same upward trajectory over time. One of the things that I think is important for us to think about as a community is that those blue students for elementary schoolers are already enrolled in our school system. So where do elementary school kids go? They go to middle school, and middle school kids go to high school. We just had Population and Survey Analyst, or PASA, who's our demographer, recently present to us. And one of the things that they told us, which I thought was a very important data point for our community, is that our birth rate has actually increased in our community over the last 4 years by about 40%. 100%. So even if we didn't have any other construction going on, we still have a lot of families that are living in our community with school-age children that are getting ready to start school in our district. So that brings me then to talking a little bit about our district enrollment and our enrollment capacity. Up here, we have our district enrollment in this top bar, and then elementary, middle, and high school. What I have here is current capacity for all of our facilities. Next to that, or just below that, sorry, is our current enrollment across those facilities, and the same bars for elementary, middle, and high school. And then our 10-year projections starting with next year. So looking at district-wide, our capacity in 2024, our enrollment across the district will exceed that 8,850 capacity as we enroll about 8,900 students in our projections. For elementary in 2025, that's the year that we're going to be hitting capacity. That is also the year that we are slated to open elementary number 6 in the Headwaters community. For middle school capacity, we'll reach capacity in 2025. That is also the year that we are anticipating opening the expansion for Sycamore Springs Middle School. And then next year, we will be over capacity at the high school, and we are projecting, or in the middle of design for a high school campus right now, and projecting opening that capacity in 2027. One of the things that I think is important to talk about, though, within this process is people get really excited about a new building and new opportunities and new schools. And it's also important to remember that coming with that will be attendance zoning. And so that's an important conversation for us to be thinking about and talking about as a school community. We have in 2024 that first bar between the 24-25 school year that we'll need to be doing attendance zoning for these elementary and middle school capacities. And then between 26 and 27 be looking at attendance zoning for high school capacity. A lot of times people ask, so where is this growth coming in? And most of us are familiar with it coming up this 290 corridor. If you look on this map, you have the developments listed here by name, the projected number of units, and what's currently occupied. Up here in maroon is what is already under development and starting occupancy. Below it in gray is all of the things that are coming soon. And so when we look at some of the names on this list, we see Heritage, we see Cannon Ranch and Big Sky Ranch, Headwaters, Parton Ranch. All of those communities we're really familiar with, and we're recognizing that many of our neighbors across the district live in these areas and are moving to some of these beautiful new homes. We have lots of new community residents that are going to be coming in to places like Double L Ranch and Wild Ridge and the ranch at Calaterra. So there's more expansion coming in the future, and you can see the size of those developments coming in there. When we look at all of this development, typically we get asked, so what does that mean in total? So over the next 10 years, what that means for us is about 13,000 new projected occupancies in our community. 10,000 of that is single-family homes that are coming in. About 2,000 of that is multifamily or apartments. Most of our enrollment, though, comes from families living in single-family homes. Typically, we see that at about 50% of that rate. So this heat map over here on the right is a 10-year change for our district. Here you can see this is 290. So what's in maroon on that heat map are the fastest growth areas. Blue is second fastest growth, and then gold is growing but slower. And so you can see 290 is most of that fast growth, and kind of that 290-12 corridor is going to be that epicenter. But then within 10 years, that starts to expand out and really expands up, especially this western part of our district. And so that's where we're seeing most of our growth coming in. So this is a 10-year change from 2023 to 2033. And what this means for us in terms of student enrollment is an enrollment from about 8,500 students to approximately 15,000 students over the next 10 years. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what are we doing to make sure that we address our community overall as we're looking at growth and all of these important opportunities within our district. And really, we have some purpose-driven priorities for our school district. The first and most important place to start is our vision and mission. As a school district, we really do live by this. This has been a long-standing vision and mission for Dripping Springs. It was created in the last strategic plan, but it's something that we have really rooted ourselves in and are continuing to live by. And so you'll see that vision and mission in our priorities as we talk about student success, planning for growth, and communications as some of our most important purpose-driven priorities in the district. So one of the things that we're working on under student success are those systems to support growth, not only for students, but also for our teachers, and Dr. Kidd is going to talk more about that. We also are having important conversations about planning for growth, some of those most important needs being construction for new facilities, and Ms. Cogburn is going to talk about that. And then I'm going to share with y'all some on our communications and really our focus on strategic communications to engage our stakeholders, and then also strategic planning so that we're working together as a community to really build our exciting future together. So within strategic communications, one of the things that we really wanted to do was begin to bring our community together. Last year, we started a State of the District presentation because we wanted to make sure that we were sharing out the work that we were doing so the community knew what we were focused on and how we were focused on that. Another thing that we started last year was Taxpayer Tuesday, one of my favorite events. Our finance department has really led that charge. And so Ms. Cogburn has done a great job over the last year of trying to make school finance, which is such a complicated topic, more approachable, more bite-sized for our community. In addition, this year, we have started to add in operations and how our school district operates, because that was some of the feedback that we got from our community who was attending, was they wanted to hear more about how do you actually run a district, how does that work? And so we've been excited to delve into that topic this year. We've also started a superintendent spotlight. This is a new feature that our communications team has just put out, and it's a video series where we are highlighting a lot of great things that are happening in our classrooms. We started with one of our CTE programs, which is our health careers program, and giving our students an opportunity to get certified in a lot of different areas and go into that field. Our next coming up presentation is going to be floral design. You can see their work here today, but I'm excited to be able to share with y'all in the video how those students are achieving a certification that gives them the ability to go into the workforce. We also wanted to strategically communicate who we are as an employer. As you know, it can be hard in this day and age to find really great teachers in public education. And so we were excited to hire a district recruiter, host a job fair in our school district, and also really begin kind of an outward marketing to say who we are as a district so that teaching staff know that we are a great employer and want to join us. And then we have a really fun feature that is our teacher feature, and it's to highlight our employees for our stakeholders so that our community knows more about who our amazing staff are. Another really big part of our focus has been community involvement. And so I'm proud to say one of the ways that we really started to have that conversation was through High School Number 2 design. That's a really big topic for our community, and we felt like it was important within this process to bring as many stakeholders in as we could and really open up the conversation. So we had 4 community meetings where we invited stakeholders to come share with us and with VLK, our architect who's working on the design. We also have a survey that went out to our community. Other ways that we have really good community involvement and have really worked on this strategically are some of our committees. Long Range Facility Planning Committee is one of those committees. They're working on a 10-year facility plan for our district. We opened that up at the beginning of the year, and like all of our committees, invited whoever was interested to apply to be a part of that committee. I'm proud to say with that committee, we took everyone who applied and put them on that committee. We really wanted to have as much engagement as we possibly could, and so that's a large committee of over 60 people who are helping us to kind of lead the charge in making decisions for the district going forward. We have a number of community advisory committees that are available, listed here, and we have over 331 stakeholders who are part of those advisory committees with us. One of the most important committees that I have been excited to work with is our Strategic Planning Committee. This is an ad hoc committee that reports to the board, and we have about 225 stakeholders who were invited to participate in focus groups or in design who have helped us to really drive this work forward. So the work of our Strategic Planning Committee is looking at our strategic plan and building that out for the next 5 years from 2024 to 2029. And so they're building those goals right now and really helping us to set that for the district so that we can bring that to the board and have some important information that we can really benchmark and report out to our community. We already have a really great portrait of a graduate that we lean on and talk about a lot, especially at our high school campus. We wanted to add to that work. So one of the things that they are adding is a portrait of a learner that gives us the ability to really talk about students and what educational skills we are trying to instill in them, whether they're in kindergarten or 7th grade. And then we're also working on a portrait of an educator with that committee. We felt like as a part of our recruiting in this day and age, it's really important to be able to say this is who we are as a district, and this is the type of teacher who's a really good match for our community. Elaine's going to come up and talk about our district operations and priorities now.
Thank you, Dr. Morris Kuntz. Good evening. I'm happy to see all of you here. I spoke to over 1,000 people last week, and so I don't know why this group intimidates me, but we're going to get through this. So I love the question, what is a deputy superintendent? Because not a lot of people encounter someone with that title. And so if I say, well, I work for a school district, people automatically assume I'm a school teacher. And if I say, no, it's more like a CFO, they really don't know what that means either. So the easiest way to break that down is to show you all of these departments that I support through day-to-day communications, meetings, mentorship, etc. So everything outside of the classroom that it takes to run a school district is the group of people that I get to work with. So first on the list, we have facilities and construction, probably one of my favorite things because we get to issue bonds and build schools. Transportation has been a great department to work with. I've learned a lot there. Child nutrition services, feeding our students. I recently was given IT, technology. That is way over my head, so they have to work with me a lot to explain what's going on. And then community services, if you don't know about our community services department, they provide after-school childcare and summer camps, and so it's a great service to our community beyond the classroom. One of my favorite topics, bond oversight. I've grown up in this industry with bond programs and growing school districts and just love the process of selling bonds after you get the bond election passed and then overseeing those dollars and those construction funds. And then the big box, finance. This is near and dear to my heart as a CFO for nearly 30 years. All things that it takes to keep the records and all of the filings and the compliance. We have a lot of compliance to follow, both from the state and the federal level. And so helping oversee that department is where I've grown up, and I like to call myself now among my colleagues a recovering CFO. So Gina, one day you'll understand this. So not a lot of people think of a school district as a business, but you can see from these numbers that we are a fairly large enterprise with millions of dollars to manage on a daily basis. And we're a government, so we account for all of these dollars in different pots, different funds. And so you really have to know school district accounting to be able to manage all of these dollars under the laws that we are given. But the numbers don't just apply to the finance side of life. So to break down district operations, we've put together what that really looks like in our district. So just pulling from a couple of these, with 1,130 district employees, in 2021, that made us the 7th largest employer in Hays County. So that's pretty significant. Our child nutrition department serves 7,100 meals a day. If you extrapolate that over a month, that's the equivalent of providing a meal for every resident of Waco, Texas. It's a lot of meals. Last year, I broke down transportation by miles. Last year, our mileage would take you from Dripping Springs to Los Angeles and back, and you would still drive some more. Now that we have our routes reestablished and have hired additional drivers, we're traveling almost 4,300 miles a day. Get out your map and Google New York to Los Angeles. That mileage is just under 2,800 miles. So you can see we are traveling cross country and more every single day with our buses. Our facilities, our maintenance custodial group, they manage 1.6 million square feet of facilities. That's like you having 640 houses of 2,500 square feet. So if you want to clean that house every day, or those houses, that's the equivalent of what we do. Switching to our bond dollars at work. So in May of 2023, we did pass a bond for $223 million. And I'm excited to say a lot of those projects are about to kick off in full speed. So one of the largest projects is elementary school number 6. That is being designed to go into the Headwaters community. It is slated to open in the fall of 2025 with 850 students, and we expect that construction to start probably in April. Another exciting project is expansion of Sycamore Springs Middle School. I was here in the district when we built this campus, so I'm excited to see the expansion finally happening here. It will be expanded to accommodate 1,200 students. We had a groundbreaking for that last week. Was that last week or the week before? I was gone last week. So we just had a groundbreaking, and that will open about this time next year. Dr. Morris Kuntz mentioned High School 2 design. This is an exciting project. I've never built a high school, and so this will be a new project for most of us in the district. We do have the design for this school in the 23 bond. It will require an additional bond to actually build the campus, but assuming that we get another bond passed for the construction money, this campus is slated to open in the 27-28 or 28-29 school year. So exciting work there. We've got a community group helping us design that. And then this summer, 2 of our campuses, Dripping Springs Elementary School and Dripping Springs Middle School, are going to start the first phase of some extensive renovations. So things like lighting, flooring, heating and air, some much needed upgrades to these campuses. And keep in mind, we cannot do all of this in 60 days. So if you think about school is out at the end of May, we have June and July. So those months, 61 total days. You cannot tear up a campus and put it back together before the teachers are back. So this work will span 2 to 3 summers. As far as the district's financial strength, I'm proud to say that we are financially strong. We have a fund balance of about 7 months. Board policy requires 4 months of operating expenditures. And for the first time in my career, we actually had to use our reserves this winter in order to make payroll and pay the bills. So you may realize that you didn't get your tax bill until late December this year. Traditionally, we collect a lot of our taxes in December. Those didn't start coming in until late January. So it was very good for the district to have these reserves so that we could continue operations without a change or having to borrow money. In November, we issued $100 million of the 23 bond authorization. As part of that process, we go through ratings with the rating agencies, and they did affirm our rating of AA and AA2, so we are very strongly rated by the rating agencies. And this past year, TEA did restore our rating of A under the first rating, so we were thrilled to see that restored, and we received a clean audit in 22-23, and we expect that to be the same for 23-24. More importantly, for most of you in the audience, since 2018, our total tax rate has dropped by 41 cents. That's huge. In my career, our tax rates always stayed the same, so a 41 cents decrease is great. And then Taxpayer Tuesdays, I love this series. It really is educating the community on school finance, and that is not an easy job in Texas because they have tried to make school finance so complicated that not even the experts can understand it. So I like to show pictures because they're worth 1,000 words, right? So this shows our tax rate since 2016. With the right clicker here. So in the last year, it was an 18.5 cent decrease. So the gold part of the bar is the INS tax rate, the dollars that are dedicated to paying off debt. And then the maroon part is for operations. So you can see our operations tax rate has actually declined. And so the state is making that up to us in the form of reduced recapture. Speaking of recapture, this is a topic that we like to talk about a lot. And so this chart depicts our history since 2012. So we paid a little bit of recapture back there. And then we were a gap district. We didn't pay recapture. And then we saw recapture coming back. We went to the voters and asked to swap pennies between INS and operations so that we could afford this recapture. And then you'll notice it started to blossom. So we were at $8 million in 2018-19. That's when the state passed House Bill 3, which provided recapture relief. So you see a drastic decline down to 3.7 million. Then what happened in the years after House Bill 3? This chart really tells a telling story in that recapture last fiscal year grew to $24 million. So Senate Bill 2 and some other legislation this past session passed on property tax relief in the form of additional tax compression, and then the voters approved the increased homestead exemption. So when we adopted the budget back in June for this year, we were estimating that recapture was going to be $33.4 million. That is a lot. But because of tax reform, now we're looking at about 11.6 million in recapture for this year. So that takes us to where does the money go? So if you broke down our budget into a dollar bill, you can see here that over half of that dollar goes to the classroom and the library with 53 cents. Recapture is a much smaller portion than you would have seen last year because of what I just showed you. So about 11.6 cents goes to recapture. And then our next biggest category is maintaining and operating our facilities. So that's utilities and everything that goes into keeping our facilities operating. And then you can see there's very little left for the rest of the items that it takes to run the district. So when we look at our financial challenges, like many of my friends across the state, we are facing a deficit budget for 24-25. Our board policy allows the board to adopt a budget deficit of no more than 2% of projected revenues. We are currently projecting a deficit of about $4.8 million for next year. This exceeds that 2% limit by about $2.8 million. So we have our work cut out of us in developing the budget for next year. But why is this happening? So historically, our student enrollment growth has generated sufficient revenues to cover rising costs such as additional teachers and pay increases. But with the slowdown in student growth, our revenues are growing at a slower pace than expenditures. So there's two things to remember here. Remember, first of all, we are funded based on the number of students in attendance, not on our tax collections, but the number of students. And the amount of revenue per student has not been increased since 2019. So you can see here in 2019, House Bill 3 set the basic allotment at $6,160. That's for every student across the state. That has not been changed. We really were pushing for an increase to the basic allotment this last session, and that did not happen. So our dollars today are worth less, and I think all of us know that everything has been increasing since 2019. With 80% of our budget in payroll, sustaining pay increases in the past has become a challenge. And if you want to know more about school finance, I encourage you to watch previous Taxpayer Tuesday sessions that are located on our district website. I'm going to go viral one day with those, I just know. So go get out there and watch those. So some other things that we had to do. Earlier this year, you may have seen signs across the district for bus drivers. Last year at this time, we had a 50% fill rate, and we were really studying with a community committee how to attract bus drivers. At the end of the day, that committee, we decided it was really pay, and so it took $30 an hour for bus drivers for us to get to nearly 100% fill rate. That's a cost that we can't reduce now, so that's something that we have to sustain. And we're recently just contracted out part of our custodial services. So after spring break, some of our campuses will be turned over to a contractor for custodial services. And the reason I mention these things is in the past, we've had budget savings from vacancies in these areas. Well, as we've worked to fill those vacancies so that we can provide services, we're not going to have those savings realized in future years. So looking forward, what are our priorities? Of course, teacher pay, retention, and recruitment. We all want to pay our teachers more. We know they deserve more. Now we're trying to balance that with our budget deficit. Again, that is because our student enrollment growth has slowed. It's still growing. We're still growing, but not at the same pace as we have in the past. So we're looking for about $2.8 million to cut in next year's budget. And so we focused a lot this evening on student growth. So even though the student growth has slowed, it's coming back, and it will come back in the next few years. So we have to be prepared for that. And so we do have the Long-Range Facility Planning Committee working on what do facilities over the next 10 years look like, not only for new facilities, but maintaining our existing facilities. And that committee is meeting tomorrow night. I would invite you to come join us, but you would probably be bored. And then that work will lead to what do future bonds look like for the district. And then finally, overseeing the 23 bond program, we do have another committee made up of community members, the Bond Advisory Committee, that provides additional oversight over the bond. Many of those projects are either started or about to start, and so you're going to see a lot of dirt turning in the next few months. Our summer time frame is very condensed, so just know that we're trying to do a lot of things at a lot of campuses all over the district in a short amount of time. And then we have $123 million of authorization remaining that will be issued sometime in the future. So things are fun in finance and operations. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kidd.
Thank you, Elaine. I just want to let you know that PJ said my whole thing, so I'm done. She summed it up beautifully. My name is Karen Kidd, and I get the honor of highlighting student success in our district. And I want you to think about something. Someone, raise your hand if you have a student in our system or have had a student graduate. That's just about everybody. So I want you to think about when you had your student graduate, what was a skill or ability that you wanted your student to have when they left high school? Just think about that for a minute. It's called audience participation. You have a skill or two or an ability you'd like to share out? Okay, financial planning, very good. What else? Thank you very much. Computer literacy. It's those things that you have ingrained in your. How many said, I want my, well, we all want them to be readers, but to say that I just want my student to know reading, writing, math, and science and social studies, and that's it, wouldn't be enough to get them prepared for their future. So what we have in Dripping Springs ISD that's very long-standing tradition for us is we utilize a document called the Portrait of a Graduate that Dr. Morris Kuntz referenced, and that's based on our vision and our mission for our district. And it was born and birthed out of community input and what our community wanted for our students. Our Portrait of a Graduate identifies those skills and abilities we want our students to have when they have those experiences within our system so that they can be well prepared and plan for their future beyond our district. So here's our Portrait of a Graduate. We want them to be lifelong learners. We want them to seek knowledge and be able to be flexible and adaptive to change because their world is going to be adapting and adapted. We want them to be an accomplished communicator, just like PJ. She was very well spoken at this podium. We're very proud of that. We also want them to be a skillful problem solver, but our students not only get the opportunity to be a skillful problem solver, we also want them to be asking those questions for those questions that they want to solve. Our kids are really gifted at that. Recently, we had a student create a wheel device in a CTE program for a dog that didn't have use of its back legs. That student saw the need and created this device in engineering so the dog could walk. Interesting. We want them to be conscientious citizens that contribute to all aspects of not only our community, but our global community as well. And we set high standards for leading and contributing to their society and attaining those goals, financial literacy, computer literacy, all of those. We couldn't do this without our campus principals that just jumped away. I'd like to recognize our incredible campus leadership team, our principals. So if they're in the house tonight, will you stand up and let's recognize them? We are so lucky to have such a fantastic group of leaders supporting our students and staff at our campuses. These educators take the student-centered approach to their decision-making every day, and I'm so proud that I get to work alongside them. I'd also like to recognize the directors for learning and innovation that are in the room that couldn't support our campuses like we do without your support, so please stand up and let's recognize you. Each and every day, our 8 campus principals, along with support from our department directors, enable students to reach their full potential to realize that graduate profile we saw earlier. These skills we want our students to leave with. High school starts so early. They start as early as 3 years old in our campuses. So our 3 and 4-year-olds all the way through our system are learning skills of leadership that we want to see in that graduate profile. Leadership skills such as communication and problem solving occur on a daily basis, and actually experiences in the real world, just like our students here today, just like the students that created this floral design. Those are the skills that we want to highlight. Those opportunities also continue in our K-8. I really want to highlight this. We have lighthouse teams that are the core leadership for our campuses. These groups are made up of students that our principals rely on for input and guidance to build their culture and actually hear the student voice in everything that they're doing on the campus level. We're really proud of that. We actually have our Board of Trustees visits our campuses every month, and they're led by our student lighthouse teams. Student-led, and students get to highlight what they're most impressed with on their campuses. We prioritize student connectedness and belonging at every level, and we have opportunities for students to be engaged in clubs and other events even outside of school. Clearly, measuring success of our district and our students can look so many different ways. When we think of success more traditionally, like what the state measures in the State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness, we also are outshining our region and our state as well. So just to acclimate you to this, the bold maroon scores are our district scores. And underneath that, you'll see the region scores as well as the state scores. Our students, on average, outperform the state and the region by 20 percentage points in every subject and every grade level. That's a huge accomplishment. We also measure success by using a measure called College Career Military Readiness. Sometimes we shorten that to an acronym called CCMR. So what that measures is our graduation rate. Our 5-year graduation rate in Dripping Springs ISD is 98.4%, and the state is at 92.6%. We offer AP, or Advanced Placement exams. We had 1,107 students take the exam, and an astounding 76% earned a 3 or higher, which is really good, giving them college credit for that course. They do that while they're in our building at the high school. We also have students enrolled in dual credit, which is on ramps with University of Texas, I almost said the wrong University of Texas, and ACC Austin Community College. Our students can earn college credit just by either taking an AP class or being in dual credit. We also have several students interested in going into the military career. Our students on the ASVAB, which I had to write down the acronym for that because that's not something you say every day. The ASVAB is the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. Our students' composite score average for 11th and 12th grade was 56. That sounds like it's really low, but it is a standard score, so you need a 30 to get into the military. Our students are performing very well on that test. Okay, academics by the numbers. Elaine talked about a lot of different numbers among academic numbers. We have 16 National Merit Scholars and 51 commended students. We just learned of 2 more National Merit Scholars just recently, so that's really good. These students have enhanced opportunities to enroll in college and have some financial benefit from that. Also, in 2023, we have placed 11th in our 6A district for Lone Star Cup. If you don't know what the Lone Star Cup is, it's a UIL recognition based on not only academic, but athletic and fine arts performance. Currently, there are 249 6A districts. We placed 11th in 2023, which is outstanding. Just goes to show you that our students are regularly outperforming other students and very successful. So far, we're gonna keep our fingers crossed, so far for 2024, we're tied for 9th. So we're improving in that area as well. And look at that number. Our students last year, class of 2023, have earned over $10 million in scholarships. Think of that savings for parents that are sending students off to school, the savings for a family with those scholarships. Just incredible. We're so proud. We have a beautiful program called CTE, Career and Technical Education, and our students get the opportunity to explore real world, real life, industry-based opportunities in these different areas. We're always looking at enhancing and evolving. When we're looking at high school too, we're looking at that programming to continue to enhance opportunities for students. We're so excited to kick that off with our students. Here's just a snapshot of the kids' enrollment in these programs over time. You're gonna say, wait, Karen, Elaine's probably doing the math already. If you add up 22, 23, 24, it's gonna add up to more kids than are in the high school. And that's because they could take more than one course in each pathway, and we counted them here. We also offer certifications. So our students leaving high school have the option to get certified in their industry or in an industry they're interested in, health science, for example, or engineering, and they can go off to college. If they want to work, they can work in the field and earn more money than if they didn't have a certification. And then we also want to highlight the fact that our kids are going to district and region, they're going to state, and they're going to nationals. We have a lot of different programs that are superior in their performances. We even have, right now, a state champion in wrestling. He's right there. Wait, where is he? Right there. I was like, what? You would think I'd be able to see that. His name is Alec Rill, and he was honored last night at the board meeting. So we also have 11 athletes that have signed so far. Their pictures over here. You only see a little bit of them. 11 athletes have signed to continue their athletic career in college. And so we also have the 3 state qualifiers for orchestra. Very proud of our students. Lots of success.
So each year we start off our school year with convocation, which is an opportunity for us to get together with our staff and really kind of do this same kind of thing, talk about our district, talk about our goals for the future, and really set the tone and vision. This year, our theme for the year was One Team, One Purpose, and our guiding light was really being a team as a school district, but also being a team with our community and really making sure that we were partners with our parents and all of our stakeholders so that we were really driving together forward to really help our students succeed. So I want to say that I appreciate you being here tonight and being a part of this conversation and joining us for the State of the District, because this really does further our vision and mission for our school district, which is to be one team with our community. We do know we have challenges ahead. Attendance zoning is never an easy process on a learning community. Budget cuts is always a hard conversation and really does hit home, I think, for a lot of our families as we start to have some of those difficult conversations about what might need to happen. But I want you to know I'm very proud to be a part of this district. I am amazed with our community, and it is so important that we work through this together. And so that one team, one purpose has never been more important than it is now for us to really head into the future, really united as a learning community and as a school district. So looking ahead, we are headed towards graduation. That's one of our most important events, everyone's favorite event to attend. It's always an exciting time. I'm especially excited this year because my baby is a senior, and so walking across the stage this year will be Sam, who is my graduate, who I'll get to shake hands with and give his certificate to. So it's an exciting year for us. There is still so much good work ahead of for our district and so many wonderful things happening in all of our schools every day. And so we're still excited about this year. We want to say thank you for coming tonight. It means a lot to have you here joining us as a part of this community, and we really appreciate you. We hope you'll stick around for a little bit. We have some refreshments and would love to just visit. We have our senior leadership team, our board members here, and we hope we'll get the chance to visit with you all. Thanks for being a part of this evening.